What is going on, everybody? It is Friday, which means we are 1 week removed from that crazy crypto crash that just happened. But are we doomed to have another one just like it? We've had a crash over the last 24 hours as Bitcoin has fallen below $104,000. We're getting a little bit of a bid back to the upside. And at the moment, there is a ray of sunshine, a little slight hope that possibly the bottom is in. However, there very much is still a chance that we could go a little bit lower, if not a lot lower. And we're going to cover the details of what that looks like in today's video. It is time to start looking for a bottom, but that bottom might not be here just yet. If you're ready for this content, I know you're not going to necessarily enjoy hearing we could go lower, but make sure to smash that like button and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We've been talking about these pullbacks. We've been preparing you to buy dips for quite a while now. It is very close to making those options come about, so make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I am joined, as always, by the rest of my crew. I got Smay, I got T. Shrum. Boys, how are we feeling right now? Steelers not so good last night, Smay. What do you have to say for that after a glorious Sunday last week?
It seems that the Pittsburgh Penguins and Steelers swap places because the Penguins have been sucking recently, but they won last night. And I think they sucked the energy out of the Steelers. But it is unfortunate. Our defense sucks. It was a fun game for those who are not a Steelers fan because it was entertaining, the Unk Bowl. But for a Steelers fan, it was heartbreaking.
I believe it. Listen, as a Hokie fan, I'm there with you.
Dude, every one of my sports teams absolutely stink this year, and I'm not used to it, and it sucks.
It does suck. Well, how about you, Shrum? How was your last couple of days?
Oh, it has been better than I deserve. I mean, it's never fun to see your total investment account number go down, and that if you're a long-term investor in crypto, that is what you are likely seeing, unless you've been absolutely masterful with the shorts in the same account. So, I can understand that folks are feeling anxiety. I'm zooming out. Tim, I'm sure you're going to show some zoomed out charts today. That is the antidote to anxiety. That is the antidote to worry. And, if you need to do some risk management, that is a whole another story. But I'm feeling good about where we are. Can we go lower? I think it's possible. But I'm bullish, just as bullish as ever. Not tired of being bullish and better than I deserve.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're at the spot where I want to be clear with people. We absolutely could have put a bottom in. We're in a wrestling spot right now, and I'm going to show you some things that I like and some things that I don't like very much right now as to whether or not the bottom is actually in. Is there a hope? Yes, absolutely. But we've learned in these markets before, sometimes they give you a glimmer of hope before crushing you once again. That being said, does this mean that we think that we're going into a long-term bear market? Maybe you do. Leave me a comment down below if you think that we're headed into the bear market. Did we once again top out? And are we doomed to see Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies fall terribly to the downside? I'll tell you one thing. Let's start off here. I don't think we're in a bear market. Let's pretend we are, though. There's like no one here right now. Like nobody's in. So if we were in a bear market right now, there's not that much lower, at least for most of these altcoins. There's not that much lower to go after you're already down 60%, some of these coins from their recent highs. Bitcoin, yeah, could Bitcoin have more of a crash? Maybe. I still would argue with even that because I think there are a lot of super big buyers sitting on the sidelines. But again, as bullish as I am, as much as I still do not believe we are in a bear market whatsoever, that does not mean that I am convinced 100% that we have bottomed out. Does that mean I'm not buying right now? Absolutely not. You guys, I'm a trader and I'm a DCAer. If you don't know what DCA means, it means dollar cost averaging. I buy dips. I buy support levels. Last night, we hit support levels. It triggered several of my buy positions. But you know what? I have more buy positions to the downside, and I'm not convinced they're not going to trigger themselves. But before we get into those details, let's take a look. Let's look at the bubbles. Not a great looking bubble here today. Bubble chart. A lot of red if we share my screen here, Smay. I thought maybe the context of what I was saying was clear. We were sharing a screen, but sometimes you guys say share the screen. A lot of red bubbles on here. One green one, though, you'll see right there in the corner. ENA is up 7.7%. Maybe we need to take a look at ENA's chart later today, but some nothing crazy huge losers, but Aster down 12%, coins like Mantle and Hex down 7%, Say's down 7%, but a lot of that 4 to 7% losses are happening, and this is after we've actually had a little bit of a bounce here today. When you start to look at the charts, you're going to see on the daily chart big wicks to the downside. Now, we also had pretty big wicks to the downside over here on Friday, October 10th, 7 days ago. And of course, that didn't necessarily end up being the bottom. So just because you have a long lower wick doesn't mean the bottom is in, but it could mean that we do have a temporary bottom. It could mean that we could be seeing moves towards the upside. Some of you know if you're in our VIP trading group, or I actually yesterday made a video with one of our good friends, Stocks with Josh, and I let some of the alpha go. Like normally I talk about all of my trades only with my VIP trading group. And of course, I always run things past them first, but I did tell people over on Stocks with Josh channel a short that I was in. That short ended up being pretty good. The short ended up being pretty good. While I'm not going to do a lot of analysis right now, I want to show you guys what I was looking at here. We got almost a perfect entry right in here at 109,200. I had another entry just in case we popped up at 110,700. Of course, we would not. My 3 different levels, though, I wanted to take profit on. Number 1, we hit TP1 late last night at $107,000. My TP2 hit this morning at $104,000. Of course, Bitcoin wicked down here to 103,500. But we then had a very nice bounce, to which we ended up entering a long position this morning in our VIP trading group. And of course, we've already hit our TP1, and we're threatening maybe we're going to hit that TP2 back up here at 108. Despite all the chaos, the trades over the last 24 hours, we are 3 for 3, and we are up 130% over in that VIP trading group if you're following along with my trades. This is one of those things that we teach people. Just because markets move to the downside doesn't mean you don't make money. You can absolutely find ways to make money. We teach people how to do it using technical analysis, preparing for moves like this, and sure enough, we ended up getting 3 successful trades, 2 longs and 1 short in this dumpage that just happened over the last 24 hours. Now, why am I saying, though, that I'm not convinced the bottom is in? Some of you know I am out of the short right now. I would re-enter if we popped back up as high as 109.2, or if we end up losing 103.5, I might go ahead and ape in because we're breaking some structure here. I'm not convinced that we haven't yet seen the bottom closer towards 100,000. Heck, there's still an argument we could go even lower down towards 92,000, of course. I want to make sure I'm clear that not $92 per coin, $92,000. What's going to cause us to go down that far? I'm going to save that. I'm going to save that for a little bit later. This is more about just going through the charts. I'm going to show you guys what is happening. Bitcoin, of course, as you go to lower time frames here, getting a little bit of a bounce right now. Resuming back up here. We were just above 107,000 not that long ago. It does look like we are trending in the right direction. Put a pin in that. We're going to do some technical analysis on that later. I want to take a look at a couple other charts here. Gold getting a little bit of a correction here. Just with Bitcoin after hitting above 4,300, pushing towards 4,400. Gold has had a little bit of a pullback down here the last 24 hours, coming back towards 41.85 at its bottom. It is back up above 4,200, but I put that question in the poll because I want to explore this a little bit later on. Gold's chart is absolutely crazy. It went higher than even I expected. Months ago in August, we told you 4,200, watch out, bull pennant pattern. Gold is going to look very good here. It is now really, really, really high up there. It went to above 4,300. Will we see a pullback? The charts are suggesting we're seeing some pretty historically crazy high levels of oscillator action. Even the weekly chart is giving us massively overbought levels with bubbles forming. Doesn't mean the top is guaranteed in, but it is showing that it's at a point where gold is extremely overpriced and a pullback could be in order. Now, will that pullback end up having profits flood into Bitcoin and crypto, or will that pullback come with the likes of a bear market? We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Another thing I'm noting here, as far as altcoins are concerned, we'll look at a couple altcoins later on because we did have some news with XRP. So that's definitely one we got to take a look at here. But unlike the crash back on Friday the 10th, so last week, if you guys looked at Bitcoin dominance, we were trending to the upside here in a channel that probably at some point it's going to break back to the downside. But Friday the 10th, that massive, massive crash, you saw Bitcoin dominance explode up to 63.5%. Right? Altcoins were obliterated compared to Bitcoin, even though Bitcoin itself had a pretty nasty fall. Well, now you can see with this crash over the last 24 hours, Bitcoin dominance, while it has rallied to the upside, it's really staying under control. What does that mean? It means altcoins really weren't as scared this go around as they were last week. Meaning, while I don't necessarily think that the Bitcoin bottom for sure was in, surely last Friday the bottom wasn't in with that crash down to like 100 and what did we get to? $106,000, $107,000 last week. We already have put in a lower low on Bitcoin. In fact, we've actually put in the lowest daily close since July. Altcoins, on the other hand, seem to have held up well comparatively to Bitcoin. What does that mean for the future? Again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. It's time to break into some of the news that we need to cover. Really quick plug, though, before we get going. Make sure if you are not subscribed to our other channel, Tim Warren Trading, right? Very similar. The picture looks kind of similar. Go subscribe to that channel. I was not live. I recorded a video and put it out immediately this morning on all of my thoughts. In this video, I actually talked about the long that we entered. So I gave people a little bit of insight into how I was going to be trading the rest of the day. But I ultimately just gave a lot of updates. This is another channel where you'll see a whole lot of charting, a whole lot of thoughts about local price action and what this means, a lot more of my concepts of when I'm buying and when I'm selling. So make sure you are also subscribed to that channel. And I'll tell you what, let's get to 10,000 subscribers. We're at 6.6K, 10,000 subscribers, and we'll do a handful of giveaways on this channel for all of our new subscribers over there. So make sure you're subscribed there as well. Let's jump into some news stories you need to be aware of. One of the reasons why there's a possible bottom right now in the markets is from news coming from the White House once again in continuation of the drama story that is the U.S.-China trade war going on. Now, forgive the tagline here at the top when it says this is not over yet. It's not technically over yet, but that would almost make you think the rest of this comment is kind of bearish. This is very good news, what I'm about to read to you. This is the updates we've received this morning from President Trump and other people on his staff. According to Trump, he answered no when asked if China tariffs will stand. I think we'll be fine with China. Not on this list. There's another conversation where he pretty much said having 100% tariffs on China is just not sustainable. And he's implying for both countries. But as a president who probably really tries to push and make his way in other ways, and he threatens people with different things, him kind of backing off before an official deal is done probably does mean China has some leverage that he really doesn't want to confess that they have. But in a nutshell, this is good news because that scare that caused the crash last week and was a part of what caused yesterday's crash as well has seemed to be tempered. Trump is walking back completely the threats he has made against China. And as we hear from other people on the staff, the White House economic advisor Hassett said that we are not in a trade war with China. Again, earlier this week, Donald Trump definitively said in a press conference, we were in a trade war. Now they're walking that back. That's a good thing. U.S. Treasury Secretary Bessent and China's Vice Premier Liu He, hopefully I pronounced that right, or they're going to speak today, according to CNBC. Trump will also be meeting with President Xi Jinping in 2 weeks. Currently, the U.S. tariffs on U.S. are not sustainable. There you go. That's actually what he said. Sorry, we did have it in here. And last but not least, part of the reason why this is happening is because of a quote from the Chinese minister who said the country has the right to take countermeasures against the United States. And the context of that, of course, is if the United States keeps these tariffs going. It does seem like China has a little more leverage than we originally thought. For more on this and if this is bullish or bearish, Shrum, I want to bring you up here as our local expert on the news. What do you kind of read going into this story and dissecting how it's gone? I mean, Kobesi Letter had a great tweet earlier this week about the playbook of how Trump kind of works these things, and it's going perfectly. He makes these massive threats, he walks it back, he kind of reiterates the threats, and then he completely eliminates them, bringing us back to a level of hopium. Is this what you're reading as well? Are you bullish on this news, or is there something that we're missing here?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to this November 1st deadline. I mean, the betting spread over on Polymarket has the November 10th deadline, right, of U.S. and China tariff agreement. Right now, that Polymarket spread is an 82% chance of an agreement. And we saw that this spread dipped super low on that Friday when a lot of cryptos and some stocks also dipped crazily. got down to 54%. Now we've retraced. We're putting in lower lows and lower highs on this spread. But if you look, we had a major low and we have not returned even south of 71 on that. So will there be a deal? People who are willing to speak with their money are saying yes, and to the tune of 82% to live price. Going off my screen, I'll just confirm that this is really what it comes down to. Either we're going to get a deal or we're not. I think that up until now, Donald Trump and his administration, including Scott Bessent and his negotiation team, have really been trying to put the pressure on the Chinese to try to get the best deal possible for the United States. But likely, there was a number, right, or a set of considerations that the Trump administration was already ready to concede to make this deal happen. After all, the United States really needs the cheap Chinese goods, and the Chinese also really need the Americans' consumption engine. Now, there's another layer that's on top of all of this that really comes down to rare earths, right? Which is the AI race. China racing towards AGI, ASI, and so is the United States. But we have NVIDIA, and they have their rare earths. Donald Trump is trying to do everything he can to create a deal that mandates that China continue to sell us their rare earths so that we can make the best competitive chips so that we can get to ASI first. Now, there's a lot going on there, but that is really what I believe it comes down to. Is it's the traditional story, the traditional narrative of Americans' consumption engine and China's extremely low labor rates and ability to create products very cheaply. That's the old side, but it's still relevant. The new side is the AI race. We really need those rare earths, right? And Scott Bessent came in earlier this week and said, hey, look, if we're not going to get the rare earths, we are prepared to produce them themselves. And that's where the ticker MP for MP Materials comes in, because they make a lot of North America's rare earth. They're one of the sole producers and refiners and processors of rare earths. So that's why that stock is responding so positively. It really does come down to all this. So why are we seeing some shed in the equity side and the crypto side? I think a lot of it does have to come down to the Chinese just have some leverage. They have some undeniable leverage when it comes to their rare earth processing capacity is 95% of the globe. And so we have to either up our ability to process rare earths here in North America, or we need to get a deal that benefits the Chinese enough to where they will continue to sell us those processed rare earths. So that's what it comes down to. Again, the spread prediction of whether or not we get a deal by November 1st or November 10th is 82%. And I think in Donald Trump's kind of classic formula that the Cabesi letters so really well lays out, we're getting to the point where Donald Trump's going to have to probably move the deadline further out, right? Say, okay, we didn't get a deal by the time we thought. Instead of putting 100% tariffs, which is quote unquote unsustainable, to use the president's words, we're actually just going to move that deadline further out, and then the market rips. That in addition to the government shutdown, but I believe your question was just on China.
Yeah, I mean, in a nutshell, we'll kind of make this really easy for people who maybe got lost along the way. There's a lot of information there that was very valuable, but what you need to understand is that pressure that caused so much fear to trigger the shorts and trigger the crashes that happened, it seems to be kind of coming off. This fear that we're entering into a massive trade war with China, or that we were continuing some massive war, it's starting to lose its legs. It really does look like some sort of agreement will be coming true. Like he said, Polymarket's right now overwhelmingly saying that deal should be happening before or at November 10th. That is not that far away at this point, just a little bit less than a month. Speaking of other good things that people are predicting, not only is the trade war potentially coming to an end, but another piece of information is coming out next week that should bring good results for the crypto markets, and that is Fed rate cuts. Polymarket still, if you go to my screen here, has more than a 98, 97% chance of at least 25 basis point cuts, if not 50. Now, this is going to be very interesting as we get closer to this announcement, kind of what goes on. Sean, real quickly, what day does the numbers of CPI come out? Like they're not releasing a lot of numbers because the government shut down, but they are releasing CPI, which could have a major impact on what the Fed ends up doing. What date was that coming out again?
October 24th.
The 24th. So that would be, the data is coming out after they decide? the rate cut?
I believe so. Let me triple check with that, but that is what I'm tracking. Yeah.
All right, we'll have to take a look back at that again. Any way you cut it, though, this is a good thing, ultimately, as they continue to cut rates. We heard from Jerome Powell just earlier this week that quantitative easing is coming. It's time to end quantitative tightening. It is time to move back into a period of injecting liquidity into the markets to get the economy going. Even though the economy isn't necessarily showing bad numbers at the moment, they are concerned that if they don't act now, unemployment could get out of control. It is good to go and start cutting rates, get that curbed, keep the economy flowing, and we will have a nice big pump to the upside. Shrum, I think you said you have that number now?
Yeah, so the inflation print is the 29th, and then on the 28th, I'm sorry, so the inflation print is the 24th, and then the day for the actual decision is the 29th, and that is going to be on Wednesday in 2 weeks from now. So Wednesday, 2 weeks from now is when they do the Fed meeting. Then the inflation print we get next week on the 24th.
Okay. Sounds good. So we will get those numbers before that meeting. It's going to be very, very, very good to get that. Ultimately, another reason to be bullish. We will talk about one thing. There's a lot of bullish stories out there right now. There's one thing that is kind of in a spot saying, hey, this could be some resistance for any type of major run, and it has to do with the government shutdown. We heard from Bessent recently that the government shutdown is beginning to have some form of an effect on the economy. What that looks like, we're not really certain, but if you believe the government needs to come back out of retirement, needs to get put back on, and the power needs to get turned on, well, it's not looking like Polymarket's going to give us too good of a likelihood that happens anytime soon. In fact, Polymarket right now has several different betting odds, but the leading favorite going to my chart here is that it will not happen before November 16th. 37% of people are voting November 16th or after. Now, that does give us a somewhat of a chance if it comes before then, but at this point, there's just no certainty on the horizon that either side of the aisle are going to come to some form of agreement and begin to make decisions once again. Let us know in the comments down below. What do you guys think about that? Do you like the government being shut down? Do you think everything's thriving without a government voting every single day and coming up with more bills and policies? Or do you think it's time for the lawmakers to get back to work, to decide on these bills, to move forward? Let me know in your comments down below. Let's get into a couple stories here that are very, very bullish for the long-term future. Arthur Hayes. We talked about him a couple times now. A guy that I really think is very brilliant at pinpointing times to be long and short. I don't always agree with his targets. Like sometimes he gets really bullish and he's way too bullish with prices way too far to the upside for short-term movements. Other times he's bearish and gives us targets way too far to the downside. But I will give this man his flowers because it does seem like he gets bullish and bearish at the right times. And recently, this is good news for holders, he's getting bullish because he's seeking $250 million to launch a private equity firm focused on acquiring small and medium-sized crypto companies. What does that mean? He means he sees an opportunity and he wants to jump on it because he knows some people can't get through all of these crashes. Some people are very close, if not already capitulating. He wants to raise money, buy up those funds, get everything going so that he can become very wealthy in the bull market coming. This is good news. Again, Arthur Hayes, a man who's good at being bullish and bearish. He's bullish right now, and he's backing that with money. Some other news coming out. Now, I don't know how much you guys really care necessarily, but it is interesting as one of the largest figures in the world, maybe not for everyone's generation that's watching this, but young people, ask your children if they know who this person is. They absolutely do. Mr. Beast has filed a trademark for a crypto trading app. This is according to Newsweek. Now, again, he is a pop culture phenomenon. I don't think he's technically the number one YouTuber in the world. I think that actually belongs to like this child's toy station. That it's just these children who play with toys. That's the most followers, most subscribers, and most views. But I think Smay, this actually is your area of expertise. Maybe you want to come up here. Is he the second largest YouTuber in the world?
As far as I understood it, I thought he was the biggest channel on YouTube, but what you just said is news to me.
No, okay. So, I know more about this than you do.
I think that person, what I have heard is that the Toys channel is one of the highest earning channels in YouTube. No. But here, let me just look it up.
I got you right here.
I'm pretty certain that it has had more subscribers than Mr. Beast.
I've already looked it up here, folks. Mr. Beast is a top followed, most subscribed on YouTube as of October 2025.
Oh, so just changed.
It surpassed T-Series. So the toy review channel is not even in the conversation, Tim.
Yeah, they
It's
follow.
Yeah,
T-Series.
see, that's what I understood.
It's an Indian music label with 270 million subscribers, whereas Mr. Beast is rocking out at approximately 445 million subscribers.
Yep.
I'll tell you the problem is I just hadn't watched too many toy review videos recently, so I was out of my lane there. I got to start watching those
As
again.
of
Got to get
when
those
you
subscriber
watched
numbers
them,
back
they
up.
were the biggest.
Yeah.
Because you did watch them. You did watch toy reviews.
In a nutshell, we just spent about 2.5 minutes on a very dumb conversation about who the large. He's a very large YouTuber. If for some reason you don't know who he is, and he's really started to expand in recent years into fields other than just YouTube. So this is a pretty interesting story. I don't know if there's anything to do with this information just yet, but the reason why I think it's pretty relevant, I want to get your take on this, Strum, and maybe Smay, if you want to weigh in for a second too, is that this is a guy that does hold a lot of attention and authority with young people. And of course, as we move into the next world and we move into Web3 technology, young people are going to be very integral in how that develops. So that's kind of where I'm coming at this. This could be a massive wave to get even younger audiences involved in crypto trading. What are your thoughts on that, Shrum? Am I completely off, or do you kind of agree there?
I mean, I mostly agree. I mostly agree. I think that Mr. Beast trying to get into this world makes a lot of sense because YouTube is an effective marketing channel for a lot of different things. And, you listening to the sound of my voice right now is a testament to that. So I think Mr. Beast getting involved here makes all the sense in the world. Yeah, and I think he has to be careful because he doesn't want to fall into the same trap as celebrities did with FTX. But I would imagine that now that we're in this world post Gary Gensler, that Mr. Beast feels a lot more comfortable, especially with 2.5, 3.5 more years of Donald Trump, a lot less than a half, 2 and whatever it is. We've got more years of Donald Trump's term. I think Mr. Beast is looking at his watch and saying, yeah, if I'm going to make a move in the world of finance, I want to do it under Trump's watch, not whatever comes after. So it's a smart move by him. I think to try to do it right now when, the markets are kind of at a bottom, makes a lot of sense because a lot of his fan base is going to be hearing about crypto and Bitcoin for the first time.
A little math for you there, Shrum. Presidents are presidents for 4 years. We're not even 1 year into his presidency, so it's more than 3 years left for him to do his damage. Little quick math there. I'm joking because this man finished top of his class in economics, so you would think that mathematics aren't that hard for him, but just giving him a little ribbing right there. I think at the end of the day, it's not something to really say this is moving markets right now, but it's a story to watch. It's a story to see as it develops and as it comes out. What does this mean? I saw someone comment, they're like, I have no idea who this guy is. Don't worry about it right now, but just know this story. Pay attention as this develops. Let's go with one more story, and then we're going to jump back into the charts. Going back to the altcoin realm, now Ripple and XRP have not necessarily been the cream of the crop in the crypto land as of late. In fact, some people have been on the internet saying that XRP is dead, that Ripple can't compete. They won't make it in this new world, but they have some good news coming out today. Ripple is announcing they're going to raise at least, I always think it's weird when they say at least. Just give us a number. How much do you actually want to get there? At least $1 billion to purchase XRP. That means the whales are buying. Now, you would think, hey, doesn't Ripple just make them? Can they just print them and get them out there? This is a classic FUD story that goes out about XRP, is that because they can print their own tokens whenever they want, they can just do this. Them raising money to buy it back means they believe something big is coming. If they just wanted to own more XRP, they could print XRP into oblivion. That's not what's happening here. They want to grow and have a massive wealth here in their own coin because they trust the future. Do you trust that future, Shrum? Are you still an XRP guy? Is there any reason that people should be dumping their XRP bags, or should they be taking a page out of Ripple's playbook and trying to raise $1 billion to buy more XRP?
If you have the means and the will to raise $1 billion to buy anything, pull the trigger. With that said, I am okay. I'm like a 3 out of 5 fan of XRP. I think that there is some truth to Chainlink taking a lot of the market share, a lot of the use case of XRP. By the way, not just Chainlink, other chains. But I think if you're going to be bearish on XRP here, then you're misunderstanding the leverage behind the scenes that Brad Garlinghouse and the Ripple team have in the crypto space. Like we're going to see them do pretty well in this bull market. I think though, it's not going to knock anybody's socks off compared to even something like Ethereum, right? In my opinion, right? But definitely not Chainlink.
I want to apologize. Something I said, Longfellow points it out here. Well, I misspoke there. You're absolutely right. They don't print XRP. They would be releasing them. They're all there already. They'd be releasing more. They're not releasing more. They're just going to buy up what's existing in the ecosystem trading about. So good points there. Want to clarify that. Let's get back into the charts here. Let's start off with Bitcoin. We kind of went into the charts a little bit here before. Let's analyze even what this show's title is about. We just went through a whole lot of news that is bullish. Right. There are reasons to suspect and hope that maybe the bottom is in or very close, but I'm going to tell you why I'm not so certain just yet. I'm hopeful. I am buying dips, but I'm still preparing myself for another correction to the downside. I'll explain to you why that is. It starts off kind of simply. We haven't done what I think that we need to do, and that is correct ourselves all the way back down to the weekly smart trail. This is a topic that I've talked about quite a while. In fact, we mentioned this way back in August when the sell signal actually officially came in from LuxAlgo. You go back over this time period, we had a red reversal, we had bearish divergence, we had negative money flow, meaning money was coming out, and we had that gray momentum dot. This is a signal that we've only seen a handful of times since the bottom of the bear market in 2022. We saw it happen back in December/January earlier this year. We saw it happen back here in June of 2024. We saw it happen back here in March of 2024. And we saw it back here in April of 2023. When you correspond all those periods I just mentioned, take down my oscillator, every single time we saw that happen, we did correct back down to the weekly smart trail. That's that blue zone that I have here on my charts. This is something we've always seen us correct back down and touch. And this time, as we are making some pretty steep corrections, we're within striking distance, right? When we were hovering up here closer to above 120,000, hitting new all-time highs, there was a small chance. We're like, maybe this is the one time this bull run that we don't pull back to the weekly smart trail. But now as we find ourselves hovering below 107,000, we've wicked here just today as low as 103,500. You don't have to go that much further to get down to that $100,000 or the bottom of it. You guys, I told you guys earlier, watch out for 92,000. Guess what? The bottom range of this weekly smart trail, 92,900. Even more when I come in here at the daily chart and I turn on liquidations. These are long positions that have been in existence for quite some time that, of course, have been being targeted by by some of the big whales trading right now. Let's go to the 12-hour chart. It actually shows this a little bit better here. Take a look at where we have some bright liquidity coming in here, bright liquidations. There's a massive amount of longs that would be crushed. If we drop down here, guess where? Below 93,000 towards 92. So when I'm looking at that weekly smart trail and I'm looking at this chart right here, 100 to 92 are very, very interesting. I'm not promising you that we go down that far. I don't want people walking away from here saying, well, I'm not buying anything until we hit $92,000. We always could decide to stop right here at this batch of liquidations around $100,000 and hit that weekly smart trail and take off. But I would not be doing you a service by ignoring these indicators, ignoring what this is saying, and ignoring the history of this movement, which, like, again, when you get that sell signal, we oftentimes fall to that smart trail. You can even see, especially when you go back here to April of 2025 and you come back here to August of 2024, we didn't just come to the top of these ranges. We went pretty deep into those smart trails. I do think 100,000 is some pretty strong psychological levels. That's a reason why I'm starting off by getting out of my short position if we hit 100K, because that would be the kind of highest range. There's some psychological factors to say some people might have a massive buy order at 100K, but I want to make sure I'm clear with you guys what those lower targets could be. When I look at these time frames, like I said, I'm not finding reprieve from the weekly chart right now. You can still see a fresh gray dot has been printed, nothing bullish coming in there. Even on the daily chart, we're still seeing negativity with money flow coming out of here until I see this money flow turn back to the upside, until I see a green dot with a little bit of a run here on our oscillator. I'm not ready to confirm to you that we're going to new all-time highs. I'm still bullish. I think it's going to happen. The question, though, is did we just bottom, or do we have a further way to go to the downside? Let me give you another reason. Another reason why I'm not so certain that the bottom is in, and that comes from lower time frames. Like I said earlier, we have had a nice bounce here, and we are making a good rally, but we're not doing it in too much of a hurry. Just like back here, you can see one of the signs that we weren't quite ready to call the bottom was because after we had this nasty fall on the 10th, excuse me, I didn't grab my marker correctly. After we had this nasty fall, a good win would have been to make a pretty fast V-shaped correction. In fact, not even like that. Pretty quicker than that. Pretty quicker. What a weird sentence there. Kind of similar to what we saw back in COVID time. Back, if I were to go to 2020, there we go. Got to play with the charts here. Go back to 2020 to our last major V-shaped recovery. I want to, let's not say last. There's actually been a couple. There's a good example right in there. There's a couple good examples back here. But let's look at COVID really quickly so you can kind of see what's going on with these crazy actions. You don't want to see Bitcoin playing around. You want to see Bitcoin kind of get its game going and recover very, very quickly. All right. Now I got to scroll all the way back over here to make this point. We're not seeing that happen right now, right? When you go here towards lower time frames, we're looking here at the 4-hour chart. We're kind of taking our sweet time right now recovering. And after forming a head and shoulders pattern, the head and shoulders pattern that made us predict a move at least down to 104,000, take a look here on these lower time frames at what Bitcoin is doing. It's just kind of taking its sweet time. It's not doing anything explosive. The volume, while it came in kind of giving us a good position of saying, hey, the sellers turned into buyers here. This is a good thing. They're not resulting in anything explosive to the upside. Doesn't mean we can't make a move here. Again, I'm in a long that I think we could easily get over 108 and push back towards 109,000. But unless we start to massively accelerate and buy and get a V-shaped recovery, this is kind of telling me right now that while the buyers are technically in control at the moment, they're controlling a higher high and higher low on very small time frames. They're not showing me on anything on longer time frames to make me be convinced they're ready to actually go higher. It very much looks like something that could just kind of level over, whether right here or a little bit higher, and continue its way down to fully take out those liquidations and hit those longer-term bearish targets. What do I need to see, though? If you're asking the question, Tim, what does it need to see to finally say, you know what? I think the bottom is in. It's going to be higher than some of you want to see, but there's a trend line right now on Bitcoin since pretty much back towards these all-time highs that we have just been below with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're not even close to it right now. 5 touches of resistance right now. We need to break above that. We need to make some big moves here. We need to start chasing some of the liquidations to the upside. We need to capture the massive short liquidations right now up towards 117,000. I'm not telling you to wait to buy up there, right? I'm DCAing buys in right now, even though I'm not convinced that the bottom is in. But I'm taking advantage of those because once we do make this confirmed move and break this level of resistance and start to take out these liquidations, the concept of saying the bottom is in becomes a whole lot more reliable, and we're now preparing ourselves for new moves towards all-time highs once again. But for now, we're not out of the woods. There's still a whole lot more room to the downside that we could go with. So trade cautiously, trade carefully. If you want to see how I'm handling it, if you want to see when I'm going long and when I'm going short and how I'm processing all of this, one place to do it. VIP trading group right now, every single day, myself, along with several other pro traders, are helping people make money, whether markets go up or markets go down. We're finding a way to make money with these trades. Go check that out when you get the chance. Let's take a look at a couple other coins here. Let's start off with XRP. XRP, of course, with some decent news here today. It's only down 1.4% today. Put that in perspective, Bitcoin's down 1.7. So XRP on the daily chart is actually outperforming Bitcoin despite the fact they're both in a loss. That's one of the reasons why Bitcoin dominance, I mentioned earlier, is not really, gosh, why do I have this marker continuing? It's not really out of control right now on the Bitcoin dominance because altcoins really aren't bleeding as bad as Bitcoin today when it's all said and done. But let's take a look at what XRP is looking at. Just like Bitcoin, we're not sitting in a spot right now that gives me massive buy signals. And we're not saying that the bottom completely is in. Do we end up going below this wick at $1.58 that we did fall to on certain exchanges here on October 10th? Maybe not. I don't think we necessarily have to go below that level. But if you're thinking that we dipped and hit 219 and that's the exact bottom, not necessarily so fast, my friend. I think there is some levels we could go to the downside. Just like Bitcoin, we clearly had a nice sell signal right in here. And while we have come into the weekly smart trail, there's a nice juicy order block sitting right here at 205, 206 that I think could be very interesting as a buy order for XRP. I would tell you as a DCAer, if I'm not buying XRP today, so I did not buy this. But anyone who's saying, man, I love XRP, I believe in XRP, hitting a weekly smart trail, anytime you can buy on a weekly smart trail, you got a great opportunity. So even right now at 229, we're in that weekly smart trail. That's a very good sign. But I am watching that order block to the downside. I am saying, hey, keep an eye on that as a potential good buying spot right there. And once I get my daily buy signal, that's all I need to see. I don't need to see a whole lot. I want to see XRP rally back up. Let's break some structure here, just like Bitcoin. There's descending trend lines that we need to get back above. Let's see. Actually, the biggest one I kind of want to look at is actually let's just kind of get above this trend right in here, and let's get a daily buy signal with positive money flow, positive momentum. I will feel very good about XRP's chances once again. But for now, just like the rest of the space, I'm not so certain that the whales who are shorting these markets are completely done. I think they have a little more work to do as they want to make their way to the downside. I would be watching anywhere between right now and down here towards 205, 206, where that big order block is sitting at the moment. That completes some XRP technical analysis. I did a whole lot of TA again over on my other channel this morning, and I'm going to several times a week, at least once or twice a week, be putting out additional technical analysis. So make sure you're subscribed over there. If you want specialized TA for some of your favorite coins and get trade setups, go check out VIP Trading Group. But I will let's do one request, and Smay, just because I know you're hurting right now with your Pittsburgh Steelers losing the game, I will allow you to choose someone's suggestion for one more coin of technical analysis, and then we'll get into some other Q&A before we wrap out today's show. So go in chat right now. Drop a coin you want to see us do technical analysis on. While we're looking for that, let's see any other questions that people might be asking. You see one already?
Yeah,
you have a question. Go for it.
If I was somebody who say I don't like the X platform, and heck, I don't even like the YouTube platform, but I want to watch our videos, Tim, what would be the best place to watch our videos? If I hate YouTube, I hate X, I hate Instagram, I hate all those platforms, what place is the best place to watch our content and still sports?
All right. I'm going to re-answer that question because I think YouTube is the best place to watch it. And we're putting this video on YouTube, so anyone who's watching this clearly watches YouTube. But I will ask something of people. There's another place this can be seen. It can be seen on X. Go follow us on X. Also, we have just started a Facebook page as well. We need more people to go follow us on Facebook right now. You can be one of the first 100 people right now. Because how many people? 16 followers, 18 followers? Not a whole lot of followers, guys. Again, brand new page. Help us expand right now. If you do have Facebook, yes, we're talking about that dinosaur social media. I have not really used Facebook that much, but we're using it now. Tim Warren Trading Group. We are over there on Facebook. Go give us a follow. Go give us it's on Facebook. It's still a follow, right? It's not a subscriber. You're a follow. Go follow us over on Facebook right now for some more content over there. All right, here we go. We got a lot of suggestions. Smay, it's down to you. What coin are we doing technical analysis here?
Like a fly, I will rub my hands together. And I will say I'm seeing multiple chain links. I'm seeing a lot of links. What about Link?
All right. Listen, I didn't put him up to that. No money was exchanged. He chose that of his own free will based on comments. People are going to accuse us of insider trading which coin gets the TA of the day. But you guys know I love me some Link. Here's what I'll say. I'm going to be very honest with you guys, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Chainlink's one of the lower performers of the day. I told you Bitcoin is down like 1.6. Ethereum's like 1.7. XRP only 1.3. Solana 1.6. At one point, Solana was actually almost positive on the day here not that long ago. Chainlink is down 6.38%. So you guys know I love Chainlink, but it is a coin that is down pretty dramatically right now. Where are we looking for potentially for this one to find some support? Now, will we revisit the wick on Binance all the way down at 829? I would be very surprised if Link goes that far down. I see some people in comments saying Link is dead. Link is not dead. All right, well, let's just get rid of that FUD right now. Link, Link is a budding star. You're not going to catch. There's a lot of things people can get me to change my mind on. I'm not anywhere close to changing my mind on Link and how special it can be in the future. If you want to sell your Link, good. That adds more liquidity so that I can go buy some on cheap prices. I got some the other day at $11. I was thrilled with myself. I don't even know if we're going to get that chance once again. Let's take a look here. Obviously, Link under a weekly sell signal. With us wicking down this low, we have technically already sufficed what we need to do. In this case, coming down towards an order block. I see this order block here on $13 as being the floor for where Link could go again, right? Maybe we get another chance around or slightly below $13 at Chainlink. I'm not necessarily even too convinced we get that low, but it is a level I'm very aware of. I put a video out the other day on this channel about different coins that I'm buying. I got one of my buys here last night because I was talking about getting right in here. There's an order block on the daily chart. Some price levels we had back here in August. I bought today at 1584, pretty stinking close to the bottom of this move. So I'm already a buy right there. If other people want to buy, you're probably going to get another chance at that again, because just like the rest of the space, I'm not convinced that what we're seeing with these little bounces is technically over. I think that we will fall a little bit further. You can see even on the daily chart that 1330, 1360 area has an order block there as well. So those are the two levels that I'm watching right now on Link. Once again here, just beneath $16 and down here towards $13 are the two places I'm looking at for this pullback on Link to continue. After that, what I'm watching for, give me a weekly buy signal. I was showing this on that video I did the other day, but I think it's good to kind of reiterate this for people. Take a look here on Link with this indicator we use. Look at how lethal the trading can be on Link with this. Red reversal, bearish momentum, negative money flow. I should have sold right there, right? Should have sold right in here. Red reversal. I know that gray dot's right there, but I need negative money flow, so boom. Another sell signal right there on the weekly chart. Let's look at two other spots should have sold right here in March of 2024. And we'll go with one more. Where am I looking over here? Let's go back to, was there another one? I feel like there's only three. Okay, because we don't really have one in here. You have to go all the way back to late 2021 or early 2022. There's not a lot of sell signals on this weekly chart. In the same breath, though, look at the levels where it tells you to buy this coin. Let's go right here. Let's turn this green. I should have bought right in here. Should have bought right in here. Let's see, right here on November 24th. Positive money flow, green reversal, bullish momentum. And I should have bought right in here. Boom, right in here when that money flow goes positive. October of 2023, right? So these are the different levels I should have bought. Different levels I should have sold. Take a look on Chainlink, what that would have meant. This means I would have bought Chainlink back here at 747, and I would have sold all the way up here at 2149. I then, of course, would enter a short. I would short from 2149 and not take profit and buy again until 1053. Vice versa. We're under that sell signal, so the next great buying spot will probably be confirmed after we get the next green buy signal from the Link weekly chart. When that happens, I think sooner than you would think. Of course, it'll start off with a nice daily buy signal. We're not quite there yet, but there is a little bit of a bubble forming. So watch for that over the next week or two. Look for that bubble to form and confirm that Link is ready to shoot back to the upside. On lower time frames, we'll just do a little bit more here on Link for anyone out there who's kind of sitting here saying, well, what about some shorter term trades with Link? Not going to give you my trade setups that I save for my VIP trading group, but we are right now under a 4-hour buy signal. I'm not fully thinking we go all the way back up to that level, but whenever I see a 4-hour buy signal, again, green reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow, I feel pretty good, pretty decent that the chance of the 1-hour smart trail being hit is pretty likely. That 1-hour smart trail with its own buy signal is sitting up here at 1714. So I will not be surprised if this little rally that's kind of stifled right now, I won't be surprised if we do pop back up to $17 first before keeling over and coming back towards the downside. But keep your eyes on that when you're looking at Chainlink. So there we go. By the way, V Hunt says, new guy in chat always wants Link TA. Sheesh. Well, guess what? It's because he's smart. New guys are smart right now. Always want to use some link TA. V Hunt, let me know what you want. In the future, we can take a look at what you want to look at, or go check out that other channel, Tim Warren Trading, with a whole lot more. Comment. I'll tell you what, if you guys comment on those videos, what coins you want in the future, I absolutely will use that channel to directly answer more YouTube questions. So go check that out when you get the chance. You can go off my screen now, Smay. It's 350. It is 350. Last conversation I want to kind of address before we finish the show here. I'm interested in what people in chat think as well. We talked about gold earlier. We talked about gold kind of going crazy parabolic to the upside, but now is starting to see some pullbacks. Go back to my screen here. I guess we need to do some charting here as well. I mentioned this in this morning's video on the other channel, Tim Warren Trading, but look at the bubble we have in place. We don't officially have a sell signal. We have a red reversal, but we don't have negative money flow or negative momentum. But we do have ridiculously high oscillators with a bubble forming on both that weekly and the daily chart. It's going to be on the 2 daily chart as well, but big bubble on the daily chart. And you're going to see here, this isn't officially happening, but you do see a little vulnerability in those excessive buyers, that bright green area. These are bubbles that when they pop, at the worst, they have pretty steep corrections. At best, you trade sideways. For example, going back to the weekly chart, the last time we had this bubble pop was back in May of 2025. Well, what did the price of gold do during May of 25? It didn't have a big correction, but we did end up trading sideways between pretty much April all the way until August. We traded sideways in that symmetrical triangle, and then we took off once again. This time, at worst, we have probably a decent correction, probably somewhere back south of 4,000, around 3,700, I would have to guess. But we at best, we'll probably want to go ahead and start trading sideways just like we did during this summer move earlier in 2025. So the question I have is, if we're overextended right now in gold, where does that money go? Do we see that flooding back into the US dollar, people just sitting and putting that money in their bank accounts? Or is there another asset class that people would be looking to invest in? And of course, the first thing that comes to your brain has got to be Bitcoin, as it has been undervalued. It's struggling right now. It's down 17% from its former all-time high, despite the fact that a lot of people with a lot of money are saying it is the future of wealth. It is digital gold. Shrum, tell me where you sit on this. The community is a little mixed on what gold's going to do. 48% saying a pullback is coming, 31% saying a rally is coming, 21% saying it's trading sideways. What are your thoughts about gold and Bitcoin? Do you see people taking profit from gold to buy cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, or does gold just keep ripping to the upside?
Some of it. I think it's going to be a smaller portion than people think. But the thing is, that is the most bullish for Bitcoin is the pressure that will be coming off the market. Gold right now is sending a very scary signal to people who want to take risk, right? Gold is the risk off asset. Are there others? Yes, bonds, real estate. But right now, if you have the risk off asset hitting all-time highs week after week, sometimes day after day, that is not sending a signal to the overall global market to take risk. Okay. So just the stopping of all-time highs every single day for gold will eventually erode the confidence of the bears. But here's something to remember with gold and silver dynamics is when they take profit in gold, actually there's going to be a lot rotate into silver, because historically silver and gold have a similar dynamic of Bitcoin and altcoins. How when Bitcoin hits an all-time high for the cycle, then a lot of that profit will be taken and rotated into altcoins, which will then go and exceed Bitcoin in terms of rate of growth from Bitcoin's high. That was probably the most cumbersome way to describe altcoin season. But there's a similar dynamic with gold. And so when folks take profit in gold, they're going to cycle into silver and other precious metals like palladium and other metals. So I wouldn't expect a ton of that to rotate into Bitcoin. I would expect some of it, though. Definitely some of it, maybe like 5 to 15% of the dollars that are taking profit out of gold, I would expect to go into Bitcoin. So that's going to be a big boon. We're not seeing it today, obviously. A lot of that is just going into the dollar, right? So also keep in mind, though, that the movement in gold is a lot to do with the Chinese central bank, other central banks. Tether has started buying gold. And also there's the retail outcry. You're seeing folks getting in line in Australia and other countries to buy physical gold. I'm not exactly sure why they would do that when they can just buy gold ETFs. But there's a lot of this is not traditional Wall Street investment. Of course, some of it is, but a lot of it is outside of that world. It's central banks, it's retail. Like, people don't even think of themselves as investors. They're just trying to get out of inflationary, like, Australian dollars, right? So that's kind of my take on this. It's unclear. The main thing that's bullish for crypto and for risk asset holders, whether on the crypto or the stock side, is that once gold starts to come back, which now we're starting to see it correct, but how temporary is that? Is that just some profit taking from hedge funds and it's just going to resume higher and get to 5K? But once that is confirmed that gold has reached the top and now it's going to go ahead and kind of deflate, that is a sign that is all clear, that risk back on. And I think that's going to very obviously coincide with a third and a fourth and a fifth rate cut. And it's also going to coincide with the Fed finally ramping up that balance sheet. And instead of continuing to sell bonds, they're going to actually start buying bonds, injecting printed dollars back into the economy like they did during the pandemic. So that is my answer. And I am holding my silver for now, holding my palladium for now as well.
Let me make one case real quickly for why I think that we will see a transition from gold into Bitcoin. It's because we're going to repeat history, I think. Take a look at the chart here. Go back to my chart and look at the time frames of this. So, of course, gold has been ripping since August, right? You go back here to early September, gold has just gone on a tear and has been parabolic. Look at those all white candles during that time period. Very, very, very bullish. Of course, when I go and take a look at Bitcoin, what has Bitcoin been doing since August? Oh, that's right. It's been trading sideways / down, right? We're actually technically in a downtrend, a very slight downtrend, but a boring period of time here for Bitcoin. But notice that in April of 2025, we saw a pretty explosive into July, into August, we saw explosive move for Bitcoin. Well, what did gold look like during that time? April to August. Oh, it looks like gold kind of boring, kind of consolidated, maybe some money going back and forth. Of course, gold had a nice little run here from January all the way into the April date. But of course, go back to Bitcoin. What was Bitcoin doing during that period? Oh, it was pulling back. You guys see what I'm doing here? Bitcoin exploding here in the fall of 2024. What was gold doing during that time period? Oh, it was consolidating. What am I saying? It seems like over the last year and some change, we've seen a back and forth. Gold makes a run, Bitcoin takes a break. Gold takes a break, Bitcoin makes a run. If history repeats itself, you can go off my screen here, it absolutely looks like people are ping-ponging money back and forth between the gold and Bitcoin markets. But we'll have to wait and see how this one plays out. I still am very favorable and bullish on the crypto space as a whole. In fact, I'll continue to reiterate, even though I'll tell you guys right now, I'm not convinced the bottom's in just yet. I still think this whole position is happening. I still think this whole correction and crash in the crypto markets is because a massive, massive wave of buyers want to come in from the institutional space. They're preparing themselves for big buys, but they don't want to buy your all-time highs. They don't want to buy after the major pumps. They've got to find some sort of a reason to bring the boat back to buy cheap before the next major leg up in the bull run. That's exactly what I still believe is playing out. Let me know in the comments if you disagree or you agree. Either way, you guys continue to do your own research. Think for yourself, invest wisely. But as for me and my household, we're still very bullish. We're still very bullish on the markets. We're going to continue to trade them that way. Guys, that's been a great show for us. We're going to wrap it up right now. Make sure to check out over in Discord, the free level of Discord. There is a Friday fundamental lesson with Crux of Crypto. You got some questions about fundamentals and some things coming out? No better place than Crux of Crypto to find that out, and it's all free over in the Tim Warren Discord. So go right now, sign up for it. Go to the VIP trading group and learn how to trade with me and several other pro traders. Make money even when the markets are falling to the downside. This is what I encourage you to do. Smash that like, hit subscribe. Love you guys. See you on Monday. Adios.